Thank you very much. I'm going to present a study that we carry out in Kenya, and where we explore the use of doxycycline to prevent cholera. Besides transmission through contaminated water and other sources in the community, direct infections may occur at home. Cholera infection can be through contaminated surfaces, sharing latrines, and through food, and may contribute substantially to cholera transmission in urban setting. The use of antibiotics as a preventive measure is a long-lasting debate. Mass distribution and antibiotics seem to be effective in particularly crowded settings like prisons. However, there is little and inconclusive research carried out on this topic in household settings. Therefore, WHO does not recommend this measure because there is no sufficient evidence of its effect. There is fear of increasing antibiotic resistance and of stimulating a false sense of security, so that people might forget a basic hygiene measure, thinking that they will not get cholera if they take an antibiotic. There is an ongoing cholera epidemic that began in Kenya in early 2015. MSF provided extensive support to the surveillance network, and data presented in this epidemic curve are from this support. More than 3,000 cases were reported in the capital city of Nairobi. The epidemic in Nairobi occurred in 2 waves, with most of cases reported between April and July 2015. During this epidemic, the Kenyan health authorities promoted the administration of a single-dose treatment with doxycycline as a preventive measure in households with at least 1 case of cholera. On admission, the health facility organized a home visit. A dedicated team distributed single-dose doxycycline to household members 12 years and older, promoted hygiene and sanitation measures, and advised all members to go to the health facility if they get diarrhea. However, in Nairobi, preventive doxycycline was not distributed uniformly. So therefore, we took advantage, in fact, of this situation to explore the relation between a single dose of doxycycline and the risk of developing diarrhea among household contact of cholera cases. So we constitute a retrospective cohort of household members who were in contact with a family index cholera case, so the first case in the family. The family index case was the first case of cholera in the household confirmed by culture. A contact was a member of the household that was present at home for at least 1 day during the illness of the index case. So to constitute the cohort, we selected confirmed cholera cases from the cholera line list of Nairobi, and with the help of community health workers, we visited their house and interview household members with a standardized questionnaire. So the exposure was defined as having taken a single dose doxycycline after the onset of symptoms of the family index case and before the contact diarrhea onset, if this occurred. We defined 3 different outcomes: acute watery diarrhea, having at least 3 liquid or loose stools in 24 hours, in 24 hours period during the 11 days after the symptom onset of the household index cholera case. Then we define acute watery diarrhea for which an individual sought care in a healthcare structure. And finally, acute watery diarrhea for which the individual sought care to a healthcare structure and requiring intravenous rehydration. So the target sample size was 470 participants exposed to doxycycline and 470 participants not exposed to doxycycline, and was based on an estimated risk reduction of developing diarrhea in doxycycline-exposed group of 40%. We estimated risk ratio using binomial log regression, and we look at potential confounding factors such as age, sex, place of residence, food habits, source of drinking water, hygiene habits, and socioeconomic status. And we adjusted for them in a multivariate analysis if necessary. The study was approved by the Camry Ethic Review Committee. So this is the study flowchart from November 14 to December 30th, 2015. 1,009 study participants were interviewed. 472 reported having taken doxycycline and 522 reported they did not. In the doxycycline group, we excluded 81 participants, the majority because they took doxycycline the same day they got diarrhea or even after becoming sick. In the non-doxycycline, 54 were excluded, the majority because they were not in contact with a household index case. In the end, 391 participants who took doxycycline and 468 participants who did not take doxycycline were included in the analysis. This table shows the age and sex distribution by exposure. As you can see, the age group of 25-60 years was more represented in the doxycycline group than in the non-doxycycline group. Female were more represented than male in both groups. This difference, however, was more pronounced in the doxycycline group. Regarding the number of cases of diarrhea reported, the main study outcome, we recorded 9 diarrhea cases in the doxycycline group and 27 in the non-doxycycline group. Then, respectively, 7 and 12 diarrhea cases requiring medical care, and 1 and 4 diarrhea cases requiring intravenous rehydration. So based on this figure, we estimated risk ratios. The unadjusted risk ratio were 0.40 for diarrhea, 0.70 for diarrhea requiring medical care, and 0.29 for diarrhea requiring intravenous rehydration. Risk ratio adjusted for the amount of time in contact with the index case and the use of soap for hand washing were similar to the unadjusted ones. All risk ratios, adjusted and unadjusted, were below 1, indicating a tendency toward a protective effect. However, only the risk reduction for diarrhea was statistically significant. Risk reduction for more severe diarrhea were not. Our estimate indicates a reduced risk of developing diarrhea when taking doxycycline as a preventive measure against cholera. However, they were inconclusive on whether this measure reduced the risk of severe form of diarrhea. This was mainly due to the small numbers of cases of diarrhea requiring medical care and diarrhea requiring intravenous rehydration. The major limitation of this study was the retrospective design that did not allow confirmation of the diarrhea cases as cholera, and the intrinsic difficulty for participants to remember a sequence of events. This would have introduced a non-indifferential misclassification that tends to underestimate the effect. Moreover, we did not have information on the resistance to doxycycline in the area, and information that could have helped us in the interpretation of the results. To conclude, results of this study encourage continuing research on the use of doxycycline or other antibiotics as a preventive measure against cholera at household level. To date, studies have focused on urban settings, but this should be broadened to include the rural areas too. The use of preventive antibiotics is not meant to replace better established control measures such as hygiene promotion or reactive vaccination. However, it would be interesting to explore how this measure could be incorporated into multifaceted cholera controls interventions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesco.